Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, your home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Oncolytics Biotech Incorporated. This is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company. A lot going on at the organization we're going to dissect in today's video. Before we do, take a second, hit the like button, guys. Big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join. And let me know in the comments section below if you've heard of Oncolytics before and if you're currently holding shares. With that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Oncolytics Biotech Incorporated. Before we get into it, we wanted to thank Capitalize on It for sponsoring today's video on behalf of Oncolytics. Now they trade on the NASDAQ in the United States under the ticker ONCY. This is as of Tuesday, June 24th, midday. You can see down around 0.5%, currently trading hands just shy of 64 cents US. And if we zoom out to a 1 month view, you can see up an impressive 51% over the past 1 month period. Now, because this is the first time covering Oncolytics on the channel, I wanted to jump over to the corporate website, oncolyticsbiotech.com. We'll do a quick about us or refresher on the company, their platform, and their pipeline. We'll jump into the investor presentation and finish up with a very bullish article outlining 7 reasons why you may want to take a closer look at Oncolytics Biotech. Now at Oncolytics, as the name implies, this is a biotech company focused on treating cancer. We are committed to giving patients with cancer the opportunity to live longer and better lives. Our mission is to offer patients more of what they need, more quality time with family, more time for their passions, and more of what they live for because more matters. Now, as with any clinical stage biopharmaceutical company, it's really the science or underlying science behind the organization that matters. And in the case of Oncolytics Biotech, it's really this expansive potential of what's known as pelareorep that has them so excited. Now they go on to say cancer has evolved myriad mechanisms to evade immune detection, blunting the therapeutic effect of a broad range of drugs developed to treat it. Pelareorep is a first-in-class non-pathogenic oncolytic virus that can be delivered intravenously and works by generating, recruiting, and training immune cells to recognize and kill cancer while remodeling the tumor microenvironment to enable immune cell access. In addition to its demonstrated single-agency activity, pelareorep can also work in synergy with chemotherapy, immune checkpoint inhibitors, known as ICIs, and CAR T-cell therapy, which we've talked about previously on the channel. Now, in addition, it also works with proteasome inhibitors and biospecific antibodies and CDK or PARP inhibitors to enhance its anti-tumor potential and meaningfully extend patient remissions. So if you're like me, this is likely the first time you're seeing this term pelareorep. This is specifically targeting cancer cells and inducing a cascade of inflammatory responses that enable the immune system to destroy the tumor while sparing normal tissue. And because pelareorep replicates only in tumor cells, it's generally well tolerated by patients. And here you can see the process itself, both in normal cells and in cancer cells, where the pelareorep selectively replicates in permissive cancer cells. Direct cell lysis with pelareorep able to selectively replicate in cancer cells but not in normal cells due to the below factors which are unique only to cancer cells. Thus, pelareorep enhances the body's natural anti-cancer immune response. Here you can see the innate immune response, with the cancer cells infected with the pelareorep releasing inflammatory cytokines, and it's this inflammatory activity that activates natural killer cells or NK cells and promotes the migration of these NK cells, dendritic cells, and T cells to the tumor microenvironment. And then finally, what's known as an adaptive immune response. Following the pelareorep-mediated cancer cell death, the release of tumor and viral-associated antigens are taken up by antigen-presenting cells, or ACPs, which trains the adaptive immune system to recognize and kill cancer cells. So very innovative and cutting-edge science or technology, with some additional case studies and efficacy information available on the website. And we'll refer back to this a little bit later in today's presentation. Now, I also mentioned we'd take a high-level look at their pipeline, and what's so exciting about this pelareorep technology is really the cancer-fighting potential, with multiple indications already being identified, including breast cancer, gastrointestinal gastrointestinal or GI cancer, and hematologic malignancies. And here's a look at the Oncolytics Biotech pipeline itself. Again, you can see the multiple different programs on the left and the different stage or phase associated with each one of the programs. So with that being said, now that we have a high-level understanding of what Oncolytics Biotech is all about, the science underlying or backing the organization and their development pipeline, I wanted to jump over to this article from usanewsgroup.com entitled "Analysts are buzzing about this potential breakthrough in cancer therapy," and take a closer look at this article that was published just on the 24th of June. Now, we just saw in that pipeline slide that phase 2 clinical trials had been complete, and the results showed an impressive 76% survival improvement in both metastatic breast cancer and a pancreatic cancer study cohort funded by PanCan. So again, referring to the phase 2 study that was complete on the breast cancer program. And it's really based on these phase 2 clinical results that Oncolytics Biotech is now capturing investor attention with a $4.79 price target, which they then note represents over 487% upside potential from where it's currently valued. Now, it's unfortunate to see, but specifically Generation X and millennials are showing much higher cancer rates than prior generations. This has really driven the global economic cost of cancer to skyrocket. They're now projecting this to exceed $25 trillion over the next 3 decades, with traditional treatments like chemotherapy and radiation not necessarily meeting the mark for all patients. And we've talked about this existing standard of care on prior videos and the fact that in a lot of situations, the options or alternatives aren't adequate to support patients and their families. Now, this is obviously representing a big opportunity. There's a demand for innovative solutions and new ways to treat or support cancer. The global cancer therapeutics market itself is expected to grow from $98.9 billion in 2018 to nearly $180.2 billion by next year, so a 7.7% CAGR or compound annual growth rate, with the breast cancer drug market alone projected to reach $55.9 billion by 2030, and that represents an 8.2% CAGR or compound annual growth rate. And that's exactly why Big Pharma has started to take notice. Companies like Roche, AstraZeneca, and Pfizer are investing billions of dollars in partnerships and acquisitions, looking at new solutions targeted towards immunotherapies and next-generation approaches. So that's exactly where pelareorep comes into the equation, which is that groundbreaking therapy we talked about on the corporate website. Now, this is a slide from the investor presentation talking about this first-in-class immunotherapeutic agent being pelareorep. Some of the benefits include non-genetically modified, non-pathogenic, administration by IV, and manufactured at commercial scale with no special handling requirements. And again, you can see the process in which pelareorep works to combat cancer. Now, they then go on to talk about some of the additional clinical studies. Pelareorep has demonstrated remarkable success, particularly in metastatic breast cancer and pancreatic cancer, which we just talked about. Patients treated with pelareorep and standard chemotherapy in the Bracelet-1 trial saw a 76% estimated improvement in overall survival, with the Goblet trial showing a 62% objective response rate in pancreatic cancer. And keep in mind, pancreatic cancer treatments, currently known as one of the most challenging areas in oncology, growing at a compound annual growth rate of 4% and expected to reach a global market valuation of $10.2 billion by 2034, meaning these breakthroughs have not gone unnoticed. Now, from there, USA News Group then goes on to lay out 7 reasons why they're excited about Oncolytics Biotech, and that's where we're going to spend the remainder of today's presentation. So first, you can see they make reference to regulatory triumphs. In addition to their impressive technology, Oncolytics Biotech has also made significant strides with 2 FDA Fast Track designations for pelareorep in metastatic breast cancer and pancreatic cancer. So this essentially means an expedited review and approval process with the FDA. Second are the strategic alliances with industry leaders like Pfizer, Roche, and Merck that Oncolytics has fostered, not to mention securing funding from the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, known as PanCan, which we talked about earlier. The clinical breakthroughs we just mentioned land in 3rd spot on the list. In fourth, they've got overall market expansion with some of those global oncology market projections we talked about in the intro. Fifth is the leadership team behind Oncolytics, which we'll look at a little bit later in the presentation. Their robust financial health with a cash position of nearly $20 million, which means they're well equipped to fund ongoing research and key milestones into 2025 here. And finally, their commitment to innovation and their steadfast mission to advance cancer research. Now, in the intro to the article, they talked about that one-year price target on Oncolytics of $4.79. Again, currently trading in the 64-cent range. And as you can see here under research coverage, Oncolytics currently boasts 8 buy ratings, including 5 strong buys, which really underscores the investment community's confidence in this company's future. Now, they then go on to talk about the actual mechanism and potential of pelareorep, which we looked at on the corporate website, and the fact that this technology is perfectly aligned with transforming breast cancer treatments to combat the hundreds of thousands of new cases of breast cancer that are diagnosed just in the United States each and every year. And they then talk about the FDA process and the fact that pelareorep has been designated with that fast-track designation in combination with the promising results they're seeing from their trials. Now, pancreatic cancer is the other key focal point here. It's known as the silent killer, with over 66,000 individuals in the United States alone being diagnosed each year and a 5-year survival rate of only 13%. And what's so exciting here is they've got a number of programs running in unison. Now again, the FDA has taken notice and granted pelareorep a fast-track designation, and the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, known as PanCAN, has also awarded Oncolytics Biotech a $5 million US Therapeutic Accelerator Award to support their continued development of pelareorep. Now, it's always nice to take a look at some of the competition or peers in the sector. So this is a nice table. Note, it dates back to January 17th of this year, but comparing Oncolytics Biotech to some of the other companies in the space, you can see both in terms of share price and market cap, along with the various different cancer treatment focus. And finally, the leadership team, which I made reference to earlier, led by Matt Coffey, who's the president and CEO, who's really surrounded himself by a team of well-connected and long-tenured experts in their respective fields. So with that being said, you guys, a lot going on at Oncolytics Biotech Incorporated. The final slide I wanted to show you is just this robust intellectual property portfolio, over 148 patents issued worldwide, including 13 in the US, 7 in Canada, and an additional 14 pending applications globally. So I'd be super curious to hear your thoughts, specifically if you're already holding shares in Oncolytics or if you've heard of this company before. If you're still watching the video at this point, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.